Nayatrumo Piandrea Tarea Shundrumaili, Ilakiatrealo Shundrum, Lialakiantleash Nuntrum, Nilakiltialalunglum Tianaliakia Shanklum, Ilakiantlea Shanklum Diantiam, Ilakiantlea Shantlea Lumplum Diantle, Ilakiatrelaya Shundrum Lapindri, Ikramblaya Shantlea Trumplum Diandantream.
Welcome, Divine Hearts, and thank you so much for joining us. This week we have a delightful guest. She is Georgia, and Georgia is a cosmic channel. She brings through all sorts of cosmic and heart-based and divine frequencies of light to assist throughout all of her work and her sharings. She creates very beautiful and pure frequencies in her art pieces that she shares with other souls who need and look for assistance in their own expansion and also in their abilities to be able to greater and interconnect with their own divinity from within. And she also shares light language and sound transmissions too. And she also creates wonderful podcasts, and she shares these conversations that she has with other light keepers around the planet, also on her YouTube channel, along with all her other offerings too. So welcome, Georgia. Thank you so much for joining your heart space with us today. It's an honor and a joy.
Thank you so much for having me. I feel really honoured to be invited on, and it's just wonderful to connect with you because, you know, we've spoken a lot on the messages, but, you know, to see your face and your eyes and hear your voice is just that soul vibrations coming in, and it's just lovely.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. And thank you for everything that you're doing. I personally love and enjoy your conversations, the conversations that you have with the light keepers. You create such a beautiful heart space, and it's wonderful to be able to be there and witness and experience and enjoy these connections that are made between you and all these other lovely light beings that you connect with too. So thank you so much for those. I'll be sharing all of your details below this video as well, so that people can easily find you and navigate your offerings and your services too. And you may notice that I have a similar trait to yours. I tend to want to use my hands a lot while I'm speaking to, and I know that you feel this and that you work in the same way too, which is lovely. So let me start by taking you back on your journey of evolution and expansion, and in particular taking us to choice points and change points within your experience that assisted you to choose your soul pathway instead of your human pathway, in a sense, those pivotal moments that came along in your journey, if you like, if you'd be willing to share with us.
Interesting. Yeah, it's a really interesting question because I suppose you don't really know often whether it's going to be a soulful choice or not, and somehow along the way there is formation that begins to happen. Maybe some people have more of a direct path and knowing of where they want to go, but for me, I haven't really had a clear sight with it because I've been so multi-passionate that I've constantly been delving into all these different things, picking up all these different things along the way to then kind of be where I am now. So there's a lot I could really speak about, I suppose, in a way. And
Yes.
as a child, I always think it's important to mention as a child that I've always had a self-awareness for the other realm and dream time and past lives. Like, that's a really poignant thing that's stuck with me my whole life. And of course, when you go to school, you become schooled and you have to try and fit in. You don't have to, but in my perception, I remember clearly going from primary school, having a bit of a rough time there, but then secondary school thinking, well, I have to change, otherwise it's going to get real tough when I go to secondary school. I'm going to fit in. I'm going to dull what I was wearing. I was, a bit more of like a grungy thing, even from a small little 10-year-old. And, you try and kind of just fit in. I'll listen to the music that they're listening to, and you kind of go through that phase. And you're constantly, and that's why I think children even have such a turmoil during this time of their life, because they're really, probably every single one of them almost is conflicting with really their inner truth. They're not shown how to navigate that, how to navigate their own inner truth, because they're constantly being programmed to be a certain way, and it's conflicting. So then they do things that are more rebellious, that are still not them, but it's like trying to polarize what they're being taught to try and find themselves again. So it's almost like taking yourself out, which is what the divine is doing with us, So there's a message there, in even in our journey as the child to the teen to the adult. And so I bring that up as well, because I'm someone that works with children. I've worked with children doing yoga and mindfulness as well. All before the pandemic, that's what I was doing, because that was a choice of mine due to what I experienced in my upbringing. Having such a turbulent upbringing, I needed to find my centre, and it was only until I hit my 20s, like early 20s, that I was like, this is going down a really bad path. I'm not going to be very well. I'm not well. I had definitely mental health problems going on, and it was absolute bedlam, really. And I had the choice of when I went to the doctors, of either taking medication or they were going to offer me some kind of counselling or something like that. And I thought, I don't want to do this medication. I know what it does to people, and I'm not saying that for everybody. Sometimes it does work, that people can go through it and then work themselves off it. Like, I know people who've done that as well. But through my experience at the time, especially with family members that were, heavily medicated, and I was seeing them, and I didn't want to be them. You don't want to be at your parents or your, the people in your life that you can sort of see, we're meant to look up to, but there's also sometimes a reflection of something that could be. There's all these potentials, and for me, I was seeing this potential and this path that I was going down. So yeah, I decided to make a change, and then this isn't linear conversation here, because like before even the yoga stuff, I did then go to do Reiki. I trained in Reiki 1, which was really profound. Even just the level 1 for me was really profound experience. It was like suddenly I was high, it's like, whoa, this energy is amazing. And the colour, the vibrancy. And I really believe from that point, although there was the point of going to this sort of talk counselling, because when I was there, she said, well, what are you doing? What are you doing that's going to bring you joy, or something else,
Mm-hmm.
And I started just doing Pilates and yoga and meditation. So like all that sort of started to happen really around 2013. And that was probably my biggest transition out of going down maybe a path where I'm, I don't know what could have happened, but I would have continued drinking and been very depressed, and who knows, yeah.
And you had an experience, you had an Akashic reading,
Oh yes,
and
yes.
then this assisted you in many ways to connect with so much more things that you've not recognized within yourself before.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because it was like there were these parts that I was already aware of them. So as a child, I used to have memories through dream, and I would tell my mum, I used to live here and I burnt to death and da da da. Mum was a bit like, okay, right, okay then. But as I got older, so what actually did happen, even through the transition of me going through my healing process, and I wanted to train in massage and healing. I didn't really feel that I could be worthy enough of doing Reiki full time. That seemed like it's all I wanted to do was to be a healer, right? At this point I thought, God, this has benefited me. I want to help others. I didn't know how to anchor that in because I didn't have anything in my experience, in my reality, to show me how to do that. And actually my Reiki practitioner actually was, and this is probably really, looking back at it, was probably some subconscious influence. I saw that she was part-time doing some beauty stuff, so I started to train as a beauty therapist because I thought I could be doing the massage and some Reiki. But through that process I went to work in a spa, which is like a complete I don't know about every spa. I don't want to slate every spa, but from my experience and what I hear from other people, it's a very conveyor belt thing. You have back-to-back massages all day, 5 minutes between each one, maybe 10 minutes, and it just shot my immune system right out. Obviously still wasn't quite on my path, so my body was just like, no, we're going to take you out of that. And I literally was so physically covered in my hands that I couldn't work, so I got signed off. So in that period of time, that's when I saw this Reiki, I saw this Akashic reader who's a friend of mine now. I actually won it. I don't know if I mentioned that. I went to this, so okay, we can go into it. I suppose we're here to have these kind of conversations. I went to this wellness event that was near me, and as I went in, it's really interesting. This beautiful woman, and she had her card leaflet even at the front desk. I remember picking her one up and looking at the back, seeing her picture with her aura. She had an aura picture as her picture. I thought, well, hopefully I'll see her. Off I go, do my thing. And I'd got to her stall, but she wasn't there. It was only her husband, and she was actually, I think, doing some treatments. And he said, oh, you can write your name down, to be a part of this and win an Akashic Records. I was like, yeah, I'd really love that. Could be really beneficial. I think I've got some like stuff going on here that's really past life. And it found out that and then she clarified that. But I say that again. I think when I write stuff as well on my website, that's even so compressed and shortened down, and because that's not even really. I knew when I was a kid, right? I also knew before I was going to work in the spa, because I had a reading before I went, because the idea I was going to maybe do clinical aromatherapy, so I could do all the blends and maybe go into herbalism. All of that was sort of what I was feeling, and Ayurveda. I love Ayurvedic practices. And this woman was going, don't go to the spa. You're going to burn out. You're going to get ill. I'm like, but I just got this job. Like, I need to start putting my practice in. I was so eager, and you know what it's like when you're young and you have all this passion, any age, and you have all this passion for your job and what you want to do it. You want to apply that in your life. You want to help other people with it. So I was so eager for it. So I went ahead anyway, and she was right. And she'd even mentioned, she said she was seeing all smoke around me. So there's a lot of witchy stuff that was around me, and I've still been clearing it to this day. Like it was a pretty hardcore wound for me to really release, because there became then like the attachment on the wound itself. So then it's like there's those layers of, oh, I've got this. Okay, I acknowledge it's because there was a lifetime where So I'm not meant to work in that necessarily that environment anymore, and the way people were interacting with me, the way I was even interacting with the energy of, there's multi layers of it.
Yes.
So yeah, the Akashic. But what was really also funny, so the question, what opened up all of the galactic stuff, was I did write. She asked me to write some questions, and one of the question was, am I an alien? Because I have genuinely believed that, like, my whole life. I used to think I was adopted. Or some, like, maybe I was put in to this body from somewhere else. Like, it was just this childhood thing that I had, and I'd speak to the stars, and I'd be like, I think I need to come home. I don't know if this is right. I just couldn't really correlate what I was experiencing or why I was thinking that, and how to piece that all together, because you don't when you're that age. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I always love to hear each being's journey, if you like, because there's so many that others can relate to, and it's this gradual emergence, and it's all part of the process. So in a sense, it's all divine. We've designed it in that way for us, and so often there'll be, although our experiences may be different, there'll be certain patterns that are similar, if you like, in everybody's journey of returning back to who we truly are. So it's beautiful whichever way we've designed it, and there's always little nuggets of gold there for someone else too, which is always wonderful. So thank you for sharing that. There's so much I want to delve into with you, and let's talk about your hands first, and how this greater connection came for you, and with being able to flow with your divine intelligence and connection, and bringing through all of that, and the way that you use your hands. And also later we can move into the light language and how that's expressed with you too.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So, again, I think I've actually always moved my hands. I distinctly remember people saying to me, "Oh, you move your hands a lot when you talk," and then I would become a bit self-conscious of it, because I thought, God, I can't control it. It's just it actually helps bringing out information. It's like I'm doing this, and it's bringing it out. Otherwise, if I try and talk and keep still, sometimes it's like my mind goes blank. It's a very unusual, but the mechanism, that's how it's going. So that's how it's flowing. I also remember as a child, like, I think I was about 15, and we'd got this computer with a webcam, when we got those round ball webcam things. And I remember, like, videoing myself and doing all this, like, hand stuff, and like, I wish I could find it, but obviously it'd be in our old computer. But it's like, wow, like, that's really, I was playing with this energy, and I was doing all this stuff because I was watching myself on this little webcam thing. So I have those memories that's the case. And going back to Reiki, when I was doing the training, we were asked to do all this hand placement, and it just didn't. It felt so stagnant for me. And I'm not saying again it's wrong, because sometimes you do genuinely. It's nice to place hands. Like, I do it in the mornings. I just place hands over my head. If I've been on the computer for too long, I'll just place my hands on my eyes, and it just feels so good, to call in the divine energy to move through certain parts that are a bit tired. But in terms of just doing, like, the whole treatment like that, I was just kind of like, it just wasn't feeling, it's starting to just not feel complete or whatever. So one time, I explored with friends. I used to play with friends doing Reiki exchanges. It's kind of like, I'm just going to do and be what needs to be, and not try and do anything that I'm even told to do. You know, this whole do it each for 2 to 5 minutes. It just, I can't stick to this. This is not resonating. And so yeah, it just sort of stuff started to go like this, and I started to do this, and I'm like, okay, now I'm pulling energy. I'm doing things. I'm feeling, because you can feel into their field, and then it started to get higher and higher, and then it was almost like sometimes I'm working like, and I'm doing all this stuff like up here and over here, and I'm pulling stuff out here, because I'm working completely in their field, and it's almost like I can just take their body. It's like I have a screen of their body, and I'm just like dissecting it and working through it in the quantum field, and then bringing in codes that they need, taking out old codes that they don't need, all the meridian lines. I also do a lot of tapping intuitively. This is just, it really does happen. And yeah, so that's really where it goes with the hands. It's just an effortless happening.
And I watched one of your earlier videos, I think it was a year ago, and you were sharing a really, really beautiful experience that you had witnessing yourself in the process. So the experience when you'd gone with your mother to a Russell Brand event, and how you had felt that you were there to share, exchange codes from within yourself with him. And I don't know if you'd be willing to share that story, because it was really beautiful. You were really worried, and you'd started to build up a story that it would have to be that you were needing to stand up, maybe to do something dramatic, but by the end you were able to just have a hug with him right at the end of the event.
Oh yes,
and exchange the codes in that way. It was such a really lovely experience, and showing too how these codes are exchanged in such a simple way, and what you felt, what you felt in that experience.
Okay, that was a really interesting event actually, because I had no plan to go, but then I was just, my mum just got some tickets for us because she wanted to go, so she kind of was like, can you come with me? So I went with her. So it's interesting because, do I need to? Yeah, sometimes it was an interesting time for me, because actually within that year, because I was again experiencing some more eczema, but this time it was on my face, and I feel that these things come to display because it shows sort of dissonance in the field. I had a really strong physical reaction from being at that event in that way. It's because I wasn't feeling safe in my body, is why that was occurring and happening. And essentially, sometimes in certain places, and even with certain people and things, we are here to lift certain vibrations and codes that are not in service to humanity's evolution and things like that. And for me, I was petrified, or quite honestly, because physically it was like that was what was re-traumaing this lifetime of being there to shift consciousness to, I can feel it in my body now, which I'm aware of, but not in a way of reaction. And in those times, we really were beings that almost can feel like we'd sacrificed, our life to be kind of martyrs to, because we knew that we would potentially be persecuted and harmed and hurt for the exposure of what we were capable of doing, and does that make sense?
Yes.
So for me in that moment, that's what was arising. I could feel the shifting and the codings that needed to come in, but I was scared to do anything because of that. So I have since then, which has been really healthy, because it was like, this isn't going to be healthy if I'm in reaction and not wanting to do this. And why does one need to have to do something so elaborate, like you say? And so yeah, the intention was, okay, I'm just going to go up to him at the end when it's, and try and see what needs to be gifted over. And it just ended up being a hug, and I felt like, okay, I've brought that vibration over and witnessed it. I did also work on the land there afterwards, but it was with such seriousness. I must say, it was like the transformation that's probably happened for me within this year is to take out the seriousness of the heavy duty of some of the tasks that that sometimes as us light workers have to do, because everyone wants to be in the light and it's pretty and we're bringing all these codes and we're singing all these beautiful songs and it's medicine, it's lovely and it's lush. But from my personal experience, and I don't know if anyone else experiences this, sometimes when you are in that position, you can actually, there's this exposure to the other stuff, the stuff that doesn't feel so nice and gritty, with the stuff that we're actually clearing out. And you have to then get to a point where you can go, okay, I'm going to see it and I'm going to be really beautifully present with it, and I'm not scared, I'm not in fear, and just to be a bit more playful and joyful about it, so that it's like you're picking it up like fairies, dancing in the bluebells. They're just playing and they're just having fun, and they're clearing the energy. This is what we learned from the elementals, is that they just clear effortlessly the land, and they have this way about constantly nurturing the earth and the grids and everything, and we have a part to play in that as well, because we kind of have to clear up what we have almost created. You can't just necessarily leave it to them.
No.
We have to be responsible for our mess. You don't eat a packet of something and then drop it on the floor and expect someone else to pick it up. You should be responsible for that packet, and you put it in the bin or you carry it with you to get to the nearest bin, right? So it's the same kind of thing with even the energy that we do, even from other lifetimes. We can be responsible to clear that as well, and that's why sometimes we come back to even do a bit of that.
Exactly.
Don't want to look at that. We want to look that we're light and we're beautiful and that's all we've ever been. But we realise that if we're the all, we have been in some part responsible for this creation, even if it's the creation of the fact that we've been so polarized to not look at it, that then something else has been created somewhere else because of the polarization, if that makes sense.
Yes. I feel it, especially coming from within us, that it's the how we emerge. So it would be like looking at how we emerge from our own density. So all these things that you're mentioning, taking responsibility, what struck me about that experience with Russell Brand was all these emotions and fears, the process that you went through was immense just in a few hours in that experience. But everything is immense in these processes for us inwardly, and it's intense for a purpose, for us to be able to really navigate our way through our own density, I suppose, is a way of expressing it, to come to more of this, which I love the title that you use, this cosmic heart space. And I know that this has more of a meaning for you with the cosmic collective that you speak of too, and are connected to from within yourself. So there's so much here, because also I'm looking at your light language transmissions and seeing how there are varying aspects of you because of your multi-dimensional nature. So the sound of you is different in some, the expression is different in some, because it's all these different frequencies that are coming through, and it's just delightful to be able to attune yourself to these different aspects of yourself and bring that through. And so I wanted to ask you how it feels for you when you are in those transmissions.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. It feels really good. Because I just, I'm in alignment with myself. I'm in alignment with the divine in that space. And yeah, it does have different sound. It has different dialect and expression, because we are working through the different cosmic layers, dimensions. And I do notice sometimes, yeah, there are others who have very Pacific dialect that seems to be that's their kind of Pacific sound. And I feel that even as I've started to where I am now, it's really changed. There are some dialects that seem to have really even dropped off. I don't really work with them anymore, and it's not a bad thing. I just feel that they came in to do the work that needed to be done for that particular healing and transformation of that phase. I also notice like different dialects within depending on what I'm doing. So if I'm on the land and I'm doing Pacific land work, it'll be a very different vibration to what I'm doing when I'm creating somebody's light code mandala. And that can even be very different depending on the person, because I'm tuning into their field, so it's really for what they need specifically. Will come in, and then there's my particular process and those that work with me to assist in that creation. And as you've probably seen, when I do the different meditations and create different light codes for the collective, like the mandalas, they all sometimes look really different and have different vibrational resonances, because again, I feel that, especially as we know what's going on with humanity, that we are really like a reflection of some of the more galactic stuff, and we're all sort of seeded from that. And so often it's like whatever's going on there kind of comes through here for us to play out, and so that we can kind of work through it. Say if I'm saying it has to potentially be an issue, but we tend to really be working on healing here, aren't we? It's like the planet of healing. Clear. We have to clear. We have to heal. We have to, come on, we're on an ascension. But, really we're just looking to be more connected and have more self-awareness. Yeah.
because you're speaking about being more connected and self-awareness, you've already spoken about your beautiful art pieces, your soul pieces that speak to the souls. Share, if you will, more about that, and also what you've seen in others, in the way that this interacts with them too.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I feel that people really undergo, and I feel it just the same. There really is like even you can feel like physical alchemy happening, life alchemy starts to happen during the code process. People have actually said to me that some of the things that I've written, or the things that are, demonstrated in the art, um, correlate with things that were happening before I actually showed it to them. One example was I created this mandala, and somebody and I really felt the Sisters of the Rose connection with them, connecting more with plants, and really starting to commune with the plant life here on this planet, and the more ascended, shall we say, aspects of plant. And they were like, wow, that's exactly what I've been doing. I just was wanting to connect with cacao, and I was seeing all this ruby rays around their daughter and things like that. And you just think, wow, this is just showing us here that even before they're receiving it, because I'm going into the process, and we've opened up and initiated the process. When someone says, yes, I'm here, I'm ready to receive this, multidimensional cosmic information about myself to integrate into this life and this reality for healing, transformation and embodiment, it starts to happen. Just that moment, it just clicks and it works. And so then I also do with that, because I feel that visualizing it, looking at it, is really beautiful, and it's very profound in itself. But I've got downloads of other ways we can work with them, so we can really, because we're physical beings, it's nice to do things in a physical manner that then creates a physical manifestation. So they usually have like a PDF or a video course to take people through the journey of how they can actually do different things with the mandala. So I like to, people probably know this already if you've listened to me before, about printing it off and putting your water on your mandala so you can energize your water with the codes. You just set that intention, and it's just what's happening. We know that through Dr. Emoto's work and many others who demonstrate how profound the intention we have with our water, bringing love and gratitude into the water. Well, what can we do? My mind just goes, okay, well, if we can just say, I love you, water, and then it's imbued with water, with love, then what about, gosh, okay, I want to integrate a multidimensional cosmic coding within my field. I want to activate DNA strands and my cells with this beautiful divine frequency of light, so that I'm going to then put that in my water, I can do that. It's that powerful. Our intentions are that powerful, and so are the mandalas. It's a living, breathing instrument that we see as still, because we're in this still matter, but it's moving in this reality. We've brought it in. I also see it as like a mirror. So it's like, if you look in the mirror and you ask to see your soul, you sort of see your eyes kind of shift and change a little bit if you're more present with your soul, or maybe a multidimensional aspect. If you want to connect with your Lyran aspect, you might sit there and say, I want to connect with you, I want to see you, and you look at that. So there's that way, but then also you could just, this sacred geometric pattern with all of the light codes, which is what we're made up of, to look at that and see it. You're looking into a very deep, deep part of yourself. We can't look at that on a microscope. We can only look through the inner mind. We can expand through meditation and see it. That's how people sometimes see light codes, because they're opening up to the visibility of seeing what's in the quantum field. Or people can create it into art, so that others who maybe haven't got the vision so much to see it, and then the vision can start, it can trigger the vision, it can open up to seeing more, because the universe, you're then letting the universe know that you have the desire to see more of that, and that's what you want to create more of in your life. It's very powerful. I always relate this to TV. You watch the TV, or you're setting, I want more of this. I want more EastEnders drama. Fighting and drinking beer. I'm just kidding, but it's like, it literally, when I think about that, I'm like, it's like creating, you know. So when we're looking at these mandalas, sacred geometry, even if you just looked at sacred geometry, like people who are able to work out and construct sacred geometric patterns, it's the patterns of creation. It's what we're all created from. This is what we can't see from our perception, but we can if we create artwork. And it's not to the same degree, of course not. And it's beyond what we could create on a piece of paper, but we can have some representation which still gives the message to our soul, and that's what we're creating our reality from.
I also love them because you create videos sometimes and you put them on YouTube of these light encoded pieces, so they move, and that's really powerful too, because you can merge with them in a sense too, and allow yourself to just merge into all of it. So it's quite hypnotic, but I suppose it's wonderful because it's also a tool to assist us to move out of the linear mind and to be present in the heart. And when we're opening here, then the experiences are going to be much more profound, and we're going to understand things on a much deeper level. So I love them. I love lots of the images that you create. And you've been speaking about your work on the land and coming originally from Wales. I know you've spent some time in Wales too, doing work there. Share with us a little bit of the work that you've been doing over the years, places you've been to and worked with, and maybe experiences you've had.
Okay. So yeah, for me, I feel like the land's been healing me for a start, because gosh, we need to be in nature. It's so vital, because that's what we are made of. So what I just said there with the mandala, and that being a mirror to what we are, and to create more of that within our own system, it's just as important to be in nature to create more of that harmonious balance within our own system. And being someone who's in a rather built up place at this moment in time, it's shifting, but I've had to be here for reasons as well. So sometimes even being in not so sacred places, shall we say, because it's about us holding the vibration of something of that. So it's almost like I can go to these beautiful places, I can connect and I can embody that frequency. I'm really good at connecting with specifically rocks and like actually all of it. I can't put any one to specific, but at the moment I love mountains. I've got a real thing for mountains and like really beautiful rocks that I just feel their presence, and they're really livening up. I think specifically at the minute I get them come to me from other places of the world as well. So it's not always about where you go. It's sometimes they come to you, and they bring that presence in, and I hold that presence here where I am basically, and I'm bringing that energy in to where I am, and that in itself, God, that's kind of giving me like an emotional response, like, oh, it's so beautiful, right? And it's such a beautiful experience because, you know, there are places that it's so lost. The sacredness is lost. It's there, like anything is omnipresent, but this remembrance and awareness of that isn't there. So it's about us bringing that in. So I feel that I've been bringing that in to this experience of this particular place. Whether that and how long I see that manifesting out here, I don't know. I'm not going to necessarily stay here to watch it all unfold, because I need to start really being in the most nurturing places for me as well while I hold these frequencies. Because the more we open up, it's like you just want to be in that space to do so without having to flick off other things. And yeah, so specifically, I just find mountains particularly really potent. Yeah, I was guided to Wales and I went to Angel Mountain. Do you know Angel Mountain? It's sort of near. It's in Pembrokeshire, Newport, Pembrokeshire.
Okay.
And that was just lovely. It's like these mountains. I mean, they're beings, and it can sound really trippy to people to sort of see everything as beings, and maybe that's a human thing for us to want to create that in others. But I feel that that's really what we do with I feel like that's what matter is. It's in its purity. It's you see, because that's what source is doing. It's constantly creating different versions of itself. So even in the tree and in the rock, in the shade, in the blade of grass, you will find the divine hiding there, the creator being like, oh yeah, I'm just experiencing myself like a little blade of grass right now. Just having fun. And you can tune into that and you can feel it and you're like, whoa, like that is amazing. Like it feels so good. They're enjoying themselves being a little blade of grass right there. And then they enjoy themselves being, the lawn, because it's like, wow, look at us all together, each little blade of grass all joined together on this lawn. And then you could think about, the trees. It's like, it's a tree. Even each leaf could have its own, it's having its own inner experience. To each branch, to each corner, to then there's like the other trees next to it, to the whole forest. Yeah, and you just start, it's like going in and expanding out, going in and expanding out. And that's what nature is doing. So I love being on the land to experience that.
And we can see it when we watch some of your videos, especially the ones where you're in a forest or you're in those elemental fields, especially when you're doing those videos where you are moving as well and you're creating and playing with the light and the frequencies, but you're also merging and playing within the frequencies and just allowing yourself to be moved by those frequencies in a sense, and with those frequencies as well. So that's really wonderful. What areas feel exciting to you at this time? Areas that you wish to expand within, or things that you wish to further explore?
Okay, I thought you were going to say places. I'm like, I could name a lot of places
you
that
can name places if you want.
eager to go to. I'm feeling at the moment, I'm on this little space at the minute. It's like the plates, the tectonic plates are like moving and shifting, and I'm feeling myself in this moment of movement and moving around the planet, and that is a part of my shift and the thing that I want to explore. I spent a lot of time in this place. I'm still in my hometown in Kent or southeast London, and it's an incredible thing, because like I really honor, and I want to bring this forward to anybody that's listening to this, because you know, there are people who are in the most beautiful places and they're doing the most beautiful work, and it's so enriching and beautiful to see, and it feels such a good vibration. And sometimes, and this is something I've had to work with, is feeling like I'd feel this lack of, "Oh, I'm here, how can I be out there in the world and help others and do this if I'm here, you know, God, this place, you know, it'd feel like that." And it's really interesting because when you really look at it and you really acknowledge, I think this is phenomenal to be, to, you know, you're as a soul, just to be in a resonance that is not of the highest, purest, divine, light, sacred energy, portal, ley line, you know, you're not sitting on anything like that, right? Maybe even the opposite of that, we would say, to transcend that. And you've done it, you know, you've worked up and gone out of that. And I just want to put that forward because I imagine and I feel that there's going to be lots of other people. I speak to other people. There's even some really beautiful souls that I've spoken to for a long time. I just drop in and message them because I know that they're in parts of the world and I know they're having experiences that I couldn't even fathom, like how difficult that journey is to hold the space and hold that light and be on the spiritual path in self-awareness, whilst also simultaneously being aware of the separation and the feeling of separation that the place has. And then it kind of almost puts you in a space of separation because you're kind of, you feel separate from that, but yet you're also kind of aware that it is you, it's just a part of you that thinks you're separate, so you feel separate from it because you're not in alignment with that anymore, which is okay. So yeah, I just want to bring that forward, and this is really the path, is to explore that. For me, it's been about exploring that and being really comfortable in myself and my path. And now I feel that I'm ready to start moving and exploring. I've nurtured myself and know myself to the point where I could go now and be in a community, and I feel that my soul tribe's coming forward. I feel that my people, if you want to say it, are coming forward, where we're going to be doing work together, and all of that is coming into fruition. I've also been getting a lot about Mary Magdalene and the Sisters of the Rose. So I'm going to hopefully be working in October, going and doing some Taoist tantric training, and I feel that this is a next wave of my transition, is to help with the rise of the divine feminine, and this is going to help to shift things for me, but also whatever it does, it will do for the work that I'm doing.
Oh, yeah, that's so beautiful. I'm so excited for you. That's going to be really, really wonderful. There's so many things there that you were speaking about. And yes, I see it as we all go through cycles, and we cycle around again and again, but we're never from the same place. So for me, my experiences have been slightly different over the past how many years, but with higher sight, looking at it with more of an awareness now, really getting to understand it was okay. For me, living in Wales for many, many years, and eventually moving, going traveling, and then living in different places over recent years. But I mean, there's many ways. There's human perception to explain it, but there's a higher perception to be able to explain it. But I know that many of the purposes for that, for me, for my own soul growth, was to rip me out of a certain way of living and frequency. And the amount of time was interesting because it had to be a certain amount so that the coming back would be me being different enough not to settle back into something. and then just opening up potentialities. Oh, so I don't have to live this way. I can live it this way or this way gradually, because it's all these little steps that we're pushed to take on soul level gradually. So going back to the beginning, yes, you're right in the sense that we don't know, we don't get to see it at the time, that they're just these little nudges that we take forward in the beginning. But also for me, seeing how, there was a period where I was moving a lot, and it was to disable me from creating patterns in the places that I was going. Don't get used to anything. Don't try to create a rhythm. This is the whole point of this, is to get you completely, and again, to just be more going with the flow. So it's interesting, because there'll be a point potentially in the future where I'll be circling back around again and spending time again in one place. But it will be different again. It will be a different experience, a different reality again, which is going to be really interesting. So it feels like for you, you've done a cycle of being there, being a light, a light holder, a light gridder, and accomplishing, because it's a huge accomplishment to be able to attain that level of light, to hold it and to be able to emit it. But then again, honouring your journey, your continual journey of this movement that's going to be coming in too, so that you are able to, for your soul purpose, find those expansions in whatever reasons why that's happening for you, and the places that will be able to nurture and support you, so that you can really fulfill your new purposes that will be coming in with all those new frequencies. So it's always ever unfolding. I find this, it's such a beautiful journey, although at times we don't feel it to be really beautiful, but it's this, the soul journey always returns something really immaculate and beautiful. That's beyond our comprehension at the time. So yes, I can really feel, how each of us are planted in these varying places on the planet, and we're all with these different frequencies and purposes, in a sense, and it's all divinely perfect and beautiful. So I'm looking forward to your journey, to see where you're going and how you're, all these new things that seem new, but it's just you again returning to your mastery, just raising those frequencies to be able to attain them again from within us. So thank you so much. And let me think of this. I wanted to ask you to, before we close, about your connection, because you mention your Cosmic Heart Collective, and if this is something you wish to share, expand on what this means to you, and
I think so. I feel that the cosmic heart, this potent word that we like, wow, some people have messaged me like, is there just one cosmic heart? Do I have a cosmic heart? Who are the Cosmic Heart Collective? Da 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 da. And you know what? It's all of that, right? It's all of that. And for me, when I call in my Cosmic Heart Collective, this is like my family. This is like, for me, when I make that initiation to communicate with this cosmic heart collective. It's my soul family. It's those that are in the resonance of the cosmic heart, the divine mother, the beautiful cosmic energies of pure love. Because through this sort of like, we're shifting and we're growing through like exploring all these different multidimensional aspects. We need to heal some multidimensional aspects. You've got to think, if we're multidimensional, we're also going to have some that are not necessarily doing all the good stuff. So you don't want to like get caught up in a being that's pretending to be a guide or something, and then not necessarily, it could be like they call it false light or whatever. This is how I create my discernment, essentially. This is how I create my discernment to communicate with what I feel and sense and experience as assisting humanity's evolution of consciousness for the greater good in the most loving, purest, divine way. And not even because, yeah, that's just how I perceive it. Because hey, there could be probably loopholes in terms of if you go, oh, can't call in my light, call in some light. It's like, all right, well, there's all sorts of light out there, and this is just from my experience, and this is what makes me feel really good. And I know that for me, even when I call in the cosmic heart, sometimes this could even be like ascended masters, like Kuan Yin. It could be a beautiful guide of mine. It's like a multidimensional aspect of mine that's assisting. And really, but because I'm then working so multidimensionally, they can work in as like one soul group, like, rather than it even just being one Pacific. So it can sometimes also feel like it fluctuates a little bit into different frequencies, but it's also still very much the one through that portal, our heart. It's like as if it's coming through here, because this is a magnetic field. This is our transmitter and emitter. So it's like if it's coming through there, then that's how I know really that it's for the highest and greatest good.
That's beautiful. And I was guided a few months ago to go to do an Akashic training course. I haven't done courses in a long time, and this one was pinging. So I went on it, and my soul just took me there, really. And what I found to be so profound for me is the difference in the level of awareness. And like you were mentioning, the discernment, it's the level of compassion. Lois thought that she held compassion before, but like this is a new level of compassion and a new level of awareness. And it's being shown so clearly, and just these aha moments, perspectives, perceptions changing. Oh, but I thought it was this. But no, gaining another way of looking at it and seeing it completely from a more expanded state. Of course, this will continue. There will always be higher and higher perspectives or more expanded perspectives. But it's been profound because I feel that we're all going through expansions now quite rapidly in our awareness, in our frequencies and consciousness, because we're all being called to be love beings and step into our love frequencies and be here in those frequencies. And for me, it played out that I was doing a course, but then in a sense it was also being ready to be able to level up in an awareness way, and it will come up in people's realities in their own way. beautifully. It might just be a new level of awareness coming in, or discovering that a belief that somebody held really tightly to has changed over time quite quietly without them realizing. So it's such, in a sense, it's such an exciting time. It's such a beautiful time to see that this transformation taking place. It's can be challenging potentially at times to see the destruction, but also to see what is to come, to feel the potentiality of that is incredible, and that we are here to not only witness it, but to be part of it. So yes, I can feel and understand what you're speaking about. It's this continual expansion, but it blew me away that there was this Lois aspect of me, thoughts that she understood before, and now all of a sudden she sees that she didn't understand anything and she doesn't know anything, and that it's a new landscape again to look at from a completely different perspective again. So I just love these connections and these experiences and the expansions that come from them too. And there were so many synchronicities before we came together today. The codes were, there was 144, 44 everywhere. It was just really lovely, just little nods. So, and then another 444 as well, which was beautiful. So thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your heart with us so openly, and your journey too. And we wish you so many blessings, and we are so excited for the journey ahead for you. It's going to be immense. Thank you for all that you're doing and sharing.
Thank you. It's been lovely to be able to talk about this and actually, have a moment to share. It's been really relaxing, I feel like, and I've probably spoken a lot more than what I would even usually kind of expand on certain things. So thank you for giving me that opportunity to do that and to share. I don't know how much longer we've got, but I wouldn't mind sharing a transmission if you were open
that
to.
would be beautiful. It would be our honor. Thank you so much.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like if there's anything that has kind of shifted and been moving for anybody, and while they're listening, we can just hold that space for them and just bring in any sound vibrations that can assist in maybe just feeling that if there's a part of them that's feeling unsure or uncertain with themselves, with their journey, just to come into the center of the heart, and just feeling that center. So you may want to close your eyes and place your hands to your heart, and you can say a couple of times, I am here. You can breathe in as you breathe out. You can breathe out, I am here. And you sink into that space every time a little bit more. Breathing in, breathing out, I am here. Nayatrumu bi Andrea Tarea Shundrum Aili, Ilakiatrealo Shundrum, Lialakiantleash Nuntrum, Nilakiltiela Lunglum Tianaliakia Shanklum, Ilakiantlea Shanklum Liantiam, Ilakiantlea Shantlea Lumplum Liantre, Ilakiatrailaya Shundrum Lab Indri, Ikram blaya shantrayan turumplum lian dan trayan. Inalia traya shantraya lukuntrum mukianar. Ish antraya lukuntrum. Mir aishanarianar untrum. Mish. Urk. Ark. Urk. Ark. Urk. Ark. 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 Urk. Ark. 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 Thank you. You can just, I like to sometimes just put my hands together and just bring my hands to my pineal gland, my third eye, my crown, my heart, solar plexus, the lower chakras, so like the sacral and the root, just blessing them and giving thanks. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You've closed in such a special way. Thank you so very, very much. That was beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Georgia.